Howdy, y'all. I thought this would be an interesting video for you. So I have a member of the London Experimental Ensemble. There's 11 of us in total. I don't know if you all knew that, but there are 11 members. We lost one member to COVID. Yes, it was horrible and tragic, but there's 11 members of us. And one of them is Isadora Edwards. Isadora Edwards is perhaps the best cello player I've ever heard. I don't think that's hyperbole. She's amazing. And one of the most incredible things about her is the sounds that she extracts from the wood of the instrument. Of course, she's got chops and taste and feel and articulation, all the things that matter. And she's very schooled, really. You know, she was classically trained. But she gets so much out of the pure wood of her instrument. Like, I sometimes I hear something and then I look over and go, what the what? You know, like, she's in touch with her instrument, truly. And I think she's a master. So, and I often say she's the best cello player in London. We're very lucky to have her. She calls me up and she's like, hey, can I come over? I want to experiment with some pedals. And I'm like, yes. I mean, you know, for me to get someone like Isadora, who's such a master, to finally embrace pedals, I'm like, yes, come over, let's do it. So she came over and I sat there and pulled out a whole bunch of stuff. Now, you know, part of the idea was she was interested in buying some, so I wasn't going to, you know, just let her play my rig, which is my rig anyway. You know, don't want her to have exactly the same thing, and that's not a selfish thing. It's for her, really. You know, I want her to feel like whatever it is, she can buy it and own it, and it's part of her sound. So all these pedals we've been talking about, I pulled out 4 or 5 for her to check out. Now, initially, I only thought she wanted a distortion. And it's weird because not every, I'm sure you can imagine, right? Like, not every distortion works with cello. It just doesn't. I pulled out a couple amazing ones that like are super hi-fi, great, you know. Nope, they didn't work. So what we ended up with was the Walrus Audio Era's distortion. She loved that it had like multiple clipping settings and the blends and like, you know, me, I'm like, well, it's cello, you're gonna turn up the low end. No, she cut the low end. That made it way better. I mean, it was just, she's so instinctual. So we started there. So after the Walrus Audio Eras, I then started taking out other pedals and lining them up and putting them in different combinations. And she eventually ended up with 4 pedals that she felt like, wow, those speak to me. And she goes, I understand why you like these things now. And I said, yeah, I said, because it's an extension of what you can do. Your acoustic sound is always there. But when you feel like it, if you've got the DI, right? So your acoustic sound is always there. But when you feel like it, you can just click on a pedal and add extra textures through the amp that are kind of like exhilarating and exciting and different and unexpected. And it's just an extension of your expression. And she goes, yeah, I get it. And I said, yeah, and I like to try different combinations. I get bored playing through the same pedals all the time. You know, one of the reasons with the London Experimental Ensemble, I switched from an electric instrument to an acoustic with a pickup. So I have a Weissenborn with a pickup, and I have an 8-string dobro with a pickup. So both of them, everything I play is always 8-string. I don't know if that's obvious. And I use a weird tuning, but we can talk about that some other time. So that gives me, you know, like, I'm going to approach my instrument. My technique is always going to be the same. I'm me, but then every once in a while I can add things with the pedals. And that's one reason I switched to acoustic with a pickup. And so it was like a revelation to her. She's like, oh, I get it. It's like different colors and you're adding things and then you can change the settings and this thing is feeding back into that and then this wobbles a little and it thickens your sound and then this thing, oh, wait, I can get, oh, okay. And it was, So that is why I use pedals, because they're like having a palette. It's like, did Picasso paint with 5 colors? No, he had endless colors. And yes, I think I'm Picasso. I'm the Picasso of lap guitar. No, but seriously, like, that's why I find devices so exciting. And it was great to see it in her eyes and feel that enthusiasm in the room. I was sitting like, a couple feet away from her, and she could have just sat there all night and played, and different sounds were like enveloping her, That's what it's all about. So if people ask why I like pedals, because she did ask, that's why, is like what you don't know. Like, it can take you to new places, and the fact that you can swap them out is even better. I don't know. What do you think? It was really cool to see. I was pretty excited to see that, and I was glad I could help her out a little bit, and I hope these work for her. She took them home. She'll sit with them for like a week or so, and we'll see. But, what do you think? How do you use pedals? Do they make you more creative and take you new places and allow you to experiment and do things you wouldn't normally do? Let me know.